Here.
Here, everyone please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. The first item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda for this evening.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. The next item is a motion to approve the minutes of October 15, 2019, and also the minutes of October 21, 2019.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. The next item is to open the meeting to the public portion. This is the opportunity for anyone that would like to comment on the resolutions that we have tonight, and during this period, during this period of time, you'll be allowed to come up and address the town board. So do I have a motion to open the public portion?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? The motion passes. So now if you have any comments, please come up, identify yourself and by name and where you reside.
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. The next items will be our resolutions as provided in the agenda. And the first one is Resolution 2019-200. This is a resolution approving the preliminary budget for fiscal year 2020 and directing a public hearing thereon.
I'll move it.
Second.
Just on the question, are we in a position to approve the preliminary budget right now, or do we want to hold off until we have more time to take a look at this?
I don't want to approve it at this point.
So just from a statutory standpoint, talking to Jim before the meeting, Jim, if we were not to approve the preliminary budget tonight, we have some time to do it. It has to be done by when? The Thursday after Election Day?
So the public hearing must take place no later than the Thursday after Election Day.
So we have a meeting scheduled for
Sixth.
the
Seventh.
7th? No, the
We have a
6th.
special meeting on the
Sixth.
Well, the
6th.
special, right now,
Yeah.
it was contemplated that the public hearing would be on the 7th.
Seventh, but we
Yes.
have a special meeting on the 6th. Am I correct?
Oh, I'm
Correct.
sorry,
That's
the
right.
6th.
The
Right.
6th
The
is a
6th was
special
the-
meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Was the what we scheduled for the public hearing.
So would it be fair to say we can have the public hearing on the 6th, which is the Wednesday, after Election Day, and vote on the preliminary budget that evening? Is that fair to say?
It just, I mean, it has to be, it says the tentative budget and any modifications thereof is approved by the town board and shall become the preliminary budget. Preliminary budget shall be filed in the office of the town clerk, and the town clerk shall reproduce for public distribution as many copies as the town board may direct. I think that in order to have a productive public hearing, you may want to have it prior to that meeting, so that the public would have some opportunity to comment on it.
Well, right now they
don't-
have, right
I
now,
don't see anything that, there's no statutory time frame for adoption of the tentative budget. It just says that the tentative budget, if there's no agreement, the tentative budget would become the preliminary budget. So, you know,
Right.
In some respects, whether you adopt it at that time or not, in some respects is immaterial.
Okay, so
because-
if that's the case, then can we have the public hearing that evening? Is it, duly posted so that we meet the requirements? That evening, we can entertain final deliberations on the
Sure.
preliminary budget.
Well, I mean, so what you may want to do is, if you're going to have any discussions this evening regarding the budget, and maybe you table this resolution till the end of the meeting. I don't know if there can be any agreement
No,
or
I don't
if you
think
want
that's,
additional
I think it's
time.
better to do it to the
think it's-
6th.
I see where you're going with this. You want to have a document available for the public to take a look at prior to the public hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so right now, the public does have access to the supervisor's tentative budget
Right.
for the purposes of,
So for purposes of scheduling the public hearing, that would be the
Right.
quote preliminary budget.
correct. So the document that is available for all public to view is available at the town clerk's office, and it's probably online too. I'm not sure if it is.
Is it online?
No one directed it. No.
Oh, it's
All right,
not
so
online.
any
Okay.
changes after tonight, because there's going to be some recommendations for changes here, I think should be reflected in this document, okay? We can make it available as the tentative budget online, right? They can
Well,
review
it would
that.
be the preliminary, I mean, it's really just so, let me just explain to the board, you've got a tentative budget before you.
Correct.
The board would have to agree and vote on any changes that would be made to that budget for that to become the preliminary budget.
What if we don't want to make this the preliminary budget until the night of the public hearing?
That then becomes, for purposes of the public hearing, becomes the preliminary budget. So if you take no action to amend the tentative and you hold a public hearing, the tentative then becomes the
Okay,
preliminary.
it's basically semantics. What I would say is this. If we do not entertain 2019-200 tonight, if we table 2019-200, and this is, of course, up to the resolution
The
maker.
only thing you would
We
have
have
to
to call the
do,
public hearing.
you have to set the date of the
Right,
public hearing.
all we'd have to do is just set a
Yeah,
public
so that
hearing.
would be
Right.
200, would be
Correct.
that.
Okay.
amended.
Oh, we'd amend the
Right.
resolution to just set the
Set the
public
public
hearing.
hearing. Right.
Keep this open. Anyone in the public that wants to review where we're at can take a look at the worksheets from where we stand after tonight.
Correct.
And then we will move on this on the Wednesday meeting, November 6th, as long as no one has an objection to that.
Yeah, I'll second
Right.
that.
All right, I didn't make a motion. I believe just a point of order is whoever made the original motion needs to amend it.
I'll amend the motion to just make it for the public hearing to be scheduled on November 6th at 7:30 PM at 20 Middlebush Road, and the rest of it should be tabled to that meeting as well.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? The motion passes.
The rest of what? Is there
The rest of the resolution.
Well, it would just be it would just be
Striking.
stricken.
We could just strike it.
Striking the tentative
Because we'll-
budget language.
You're not tabling it, you're just approving the sending public hearing.
Right.
Exactly. The rest
Correct.
of it we're striking.
Correct.
That's what I'll write down.
Yeah, that's fine. The rest of it we will strike, and then obviously that'll be on for the next meeting. We'll have a companion resolution that will reflect those.
So, I mean, going forward, the board can vote either individually to amend particular line items, or the board can vote to make global amendments as they see
Right.
fit.
Right.
Okay.
Depending on how the board chooses to proceed. So there's no, if you can agree on certain items but not on others, you can vote on those items, and, whatever is not agreed upon and is set in that budget now, that's what would continue.
Well, there appears to be some housekeeping adjustments here that need to be made at some point tonight. That's why I wanted to make sure we weren't locking ourselves.
I'm not sure if we need to make these tonight.
Oh,
These were,
okay.
this is just a summary, Bill.
Oh, good.
Of what was raised during the two sessions.
Oh, okay, okay.
So not proposing to make those tonight. I think we need to discuss those in the overall context.
Okay, good. So
Okay.
that's even cleaner then.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next resolution is Resolution 2019-201. This is a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds of purchase of new lawnmower for Buildings and Grounds Department. This is what during Steve Frazier's presentation, he had raised the desire to purchase some additional equipment. The board had requested if there's anything that could be purchased this year out of current funds. So this is Steve's proposal. Steve, why don't you come up and present to the board?
So directly after the last meeting, I looked into the purchase of the truck that we had talked about. There's a model year change underway, and that truck won't be available until next year. So I about bumped up the mower purchases that we had considered, or I was going to bring to the board for both this year and next year, and combine them into a package that's about the same amount as what I had considered on the truck purchase. There is a 3% price increase on November 1st, so if we move forward here tonight, we'll be saving about $2,500 by approving this.
Okay. Well, I am glad that I made that suggestion. I think it's a good idea. I certainly will move it, unless anybody has any questions. Councilman Beal may, because I don't believe he was here for the original deliberation, but other than that, I make that motion.
So I'll second the motion. Just to clarify, you're moving $11,500 from the seasonal employee lines to equipment lines to offset the cost of this, is that correct?
That's correct, yes, and those, that surplus is a result of not being able to fill those positions as I had originally intended.
And then the balance of the cost of the mower comes from your existing equipment line, is that correct?
Yes, funds had been moved into the equipment line, correct.
So it's basically a general fund purchase from this year, and it's going to be purchased in whole, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. There's motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? The motion passed. Thank you, Steve. The next item is Resolution 2019-202. This is a resolution authorizing the retention of Tate Law Group, LLC, and the Sulzer Law Group, PC, as special counsel to commence litigation against the manufacturers, distributors, and possibly certain prescribing physicians of opioid pharmaceuticals to recover the town's damages in combating and treating opioid abuse. This is an issue that I raised to our legal counsel's attention about participating in some existing class action, lawsuits that would at least then give us entitlement to whatever the settlements might be made available, to participate in that. And since we're a large town, and then those funds could be used to defray any programs that we would have. So Jim, why don't you, summarize this a little bit more?
So, the proposal before you is representation by the Sulzer Law Group, their local group here out of Poughkeepsie. They have offices in Poughkeepsie and down in the city, and they have expertise dealing with class action suits and drug litigation type of particularly type of actions. There's nationwide litigation brought by various attorney generals, some law firms, regarding the use of primarily prescription opioids. There's a big class action that's currently pending in the Middle District. I believe it's the Middle District of Ohio, and so what happens in the class action, in these large class action suits, is all of the cases that are pending throughout the country get consolidated in one court. They call it multi-district litigation, and one judge will oversee the litigation, and they basically come up with a common scheme to settle the litigation. The plaintiff's attorneys and there's a number of plaintiff's attorneys that handle this litigation. The Sulzer Group is one of them, and they have basically a committee that handles this litigation, and they've been working on certifying the class, which has been certified by the federal court. If we take no action, we would be part of that class. However, since we are a larger municipality in Dutchess County, we would stand to probably get more out of the settlement proceeds than some of the smaller municipalities. It would be in the town's interest to have an attorney that's involved in the committee that's steering the litigation to get a more favorable settlement. Right now, in this big, long document that you have, there's a couple of different settlement proposals that are being floated, which basically deal with how any award would be, any settlement award would be divided. It would be based on population, and then a history regarding opioid incidents in the county, because, you know, one of the things is it's hard to figure out how much it affects the town in particular, because the records are basically tracked by hospital, not necessarily by individual patient. So the records are basically kept at the county levels, and then it's broken down subgroups by population. So right now, that's what's being contemplated in this settlement. The retainer agreement that we negotiated is a 20% recovery, the 20% attorney's fees if it settles without going to trial, and they would get 25% of the settlement if they did go to trial. The likelihood of this going to trial is probably not very great, because they're already talking about settlement already. And so that's basically all right now.
So what does this cost the town, anything?
Nothing. It's so it's a straight contingency fee arrangement. If there is no recovery, the town doesn't pay a fee.
Right.
And if the town gets a settlement, the cost of litigation, any expert costs, or any of the court costs would come off the top, and then there would be, if there was no trial, 20% attorney's fees, and the town would get 80% of the settlement.
Are other towns partaking in this?
I believe the town of Poughkeepsie has.
The village.
The village of Wappingers Falls has. The county has signed up. I believe Ulster County has also signed up. I don't know if Ulster County is signed up. I'm not sure who Ulster County is, or Dutchess County has their council. So there's a number of municipalities. I believe Dutchess County got involved back in 2017. So a lot of the counties got involved in litigation much earlier than the smaller municipalities.
Thank you.
Have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? The motion passed. Thanks, Jim, for your work on that, negotiating that reduced contingency fee. The next item we have on the agenda is Resolution 2019-203. This is the correspondence log and approval.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Are there any items for new business special consideration? None? Okay. Then I don't have any items for executive session. Does anybody have any on the board?
No, just whenever you get to open discussion, let me know.
Oh, you know, since there's none for executive session, we can finish with any other new business open discussion.
Okay, just, you know, I was unable to make the previous budget meeting due to the fact that I had previously committed to being part of an Eagle Scout Board of Review, so I just want the record to reflect that.
Yeah, in fact, the supervisor did say
It's on
that.
the
Yeah.
record.
It was on
Yeah.
there.
I appreciate that, and that being said, the town now has 3 new Eagle Scouts after that board of review, so certainly we should prepare some resolutions
Like we did
to that fact
Yeah, we'll do.
previously, and I believe we have one of our former Eagle Scouts in the room right now as well, or
Not former,
or current,
You're
of course,
always
once an
an
eagle,
Eagle.
always an eagle, right? So we take great pride in our Boy Scouts here in the town, and they are fully utilized for our ceremonial events that we have here. Of course, Supervisor Thurston's an Eagle Scout as well, so.
So are
By the
you?
way, Mayor Matt Alexander is an Eagle Scout.
Okay.
He assisted on one of the board reviews that evening, too, so. That being said, separate issue, speaking to a constituent the other day, and I think we had this conversation years ago. The Wappingers Creek, obviously, there's a lot of things in the Wappingers Creek that shouldn't be in the Wappingers Creek that are coming from upstream, and they're coming from other tributaries into the Wappingers Creek. Jim, I don't know if we had this conversation or if it was before your time. Did we ever determine who the statutory authority on the Wappingers Creek is relative to, items that are in the creek that shouldn't be in the creek? There was discussion about the Army Corps of Engineers, there was discussion about the DEC, there was,
Well, I mean, they have overlapping jurisdiction. It's regulated by both bodies. Now, you mean like obstructions in the creek that are?
just items that are floating down the creek that shouldn't be in there. I mean, I had a call about a barrel of something that was going down the creek. I mean, there's items that come down through the area all the time that shouldn't be out there, and I had a resident inquiring about who is supposed to be keeping this clean. And, I gave him the short story, that we've dealt with in the past, where it's a waterway, it's a tributary to a tidal estuary, and there's question on who specifically is responsible for what is out there. Not obstructions, but items. I mean, it could end up being obstructions, but pollution, really. I mean, items that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, I mean, so probably the DEC, I mean, they both have jurisdiction. The DEC would be most likely to act.
Okay.
And, they would be, I mean, the hard part is to find, they typically don't, skim the lake or,
Right.
that's not, but if there's a source that can be identified.
Right.
Then DEC will, take efforts to attack the problem and, stop the source. So, that would be, again, the Corps would have jurisdiction as well, but they typically defer to the DEC.
There's also been some dumping going on in the parking area that is adjacent to the New Hamburg Bridge, Old Troy Road. You know how they opened up that parking area when they did the construction on the bridge? Now there's vehicles going down there and dumping, apparently there's couches down there, there's, garbage being dumped there now, because it's a parking lot that previously was inaccessible, and people are going in there and dumping, and I know that's county property. And I will speak to
Right.
DPW about this, but perhaps we can have the town patrol keep an eye on that as well, because that's what people are doing. And those items that they're dumping down there, according to the one resident, are ending up in the water because the tide comes up and takes it. So this is an issue that needs to be addressed. It's probably not an easy solution, but
When you talk with the county, perhaps you can ask them to install a chain or something across that. Right?
I think that would be a good thing. However, the resident that I was speaking to said that he does appreciate being able to go down there near the
Right.
water. So, we had discussed years ago about the possibility of creating a kayak
Right.
access point in there. Now that it's cleared out, it is county property. But in the meantime, we need to keep eyes on it and do our best to, make sure that the county.
Right. And in
cleans it up.
fact, that's part of our, waterfront revitalization grant application,
Yeah.
is how to address that. But I'll request the town patrol to keep an eye on that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
I'll make a motion to adjourn then.
Back to the public hearing notice, one of the things that has to be in the public hearing notice, which the board should vote on, is the setting of the elected official salaries.
Okay.
So that's required to be in there.
There's no change, correct?
Or no change?
No, so it's the same template that we had used for the previous fiscal year.
Okay,
Right,
Yeah, I'll use that.
yes.
So that basically becomes a legal notice, correct?
so, right,
That's fine, yeah.
right, so that's the only, right, it's the date and that, that's really and
Okay.
statutorily, that's the only thing that can't be changed.
Should I amend my resolution to include the salaries for the elected officials?
Yes,
Okay, so let's get back to Resolution 2019-200. I make a motion to amend the original amendment to include the salaries for the elected officials, which will be the same that was set for in the last budget.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? The motion passed as amended.
Okay. And I'll make a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else.
Okay, there's a motion, a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.